hello. Thank you for joining us today. So what's today about? Today is my journey, our voyage in tech across BGL's very first graduate scheme. What we learned, the problems we encountered, and how we solved them together. Already? Yeah. So, who are we? So I'm Salman Fatmi, I'm the tech grad, and this is?
James Bale, technical lead of the energy team in CTM.
Yep, but that's our roles. Who are we as a person? So James here, we'll start off with his father. His father was a master of wine in the wine trade. So that's just, he's like got a PhD in wine, he's just a genius about winemaking and everything. So around the late 70s, he understood the growing trends in technology and how it could be used in the future to enable business growth. James understood this and he went on to study economics at university. Halfway through, he dropped out and decided to take his bike down the Himalayas and have some fun. So on the way down, he suddenly had an epiphany, like the rising sun.
I'm not quite sure that's true.
No, it could be. It's all true. But yeah, he inherited this understanding that technology is moving forward fast and it could be used to develop his father's business and grow it even further. So because of that, he took a key interest and started a career in software development. He worked across the years as a contractor and a software engineer in various companies and is now working at CTM as a tech lead for the last 4 years.
So what can we say about Salman? Well, I think Salman, quite sort of like me, also has got inspiration from his father. Salman's father, from an early age, kind of showed him things. His father was an aeronautical engineer and used to bring back bits of planes and stuff like that for Salman. And then from about the age of 7, I think his father had a change in career due to an illness, which then meant he went into IT. Sorry. And from there, that then got Salman into hardware and all those sorts of things. And from there, Salman took that interest into his education. So in his GCSEs and in his A-levels, he was starting to think about technology. He did IT-related courses. And from there, he went into university and he studied at Plymouth University. He studied a degree in computer sciences. Now, he didn't want me to put these two things on there, but he came out with a first from Plymouth University, which I think is quite remarkable, especially for an undergraduate. It's all right for a mature student like me. You'll see a lot more people getting first, but for guys like Salman, I think it's a credit to him. But not only did he do that, but he also was awarded the prize for exceptional research in applied science and technology for his thesis that he did. And Salman, can you just give everyone a quick one?
Well, I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote it, but it was basically on how Intel's business strategy can remain effective by renewing Moore's law through quantum and molecular computing. That makes any sense. But no, I wrote it, got it first, got the award, and I actually got offered a PhD by Cambridge, but the tuition fees are really expensive. So I decided it was time to finish my journey in academia and transition and use my knowledge in the business world.
Yeah, so about this time last year, Salman went through the BGL process for selection. I'm not sure how many people applied, but basically 4 people got selected. Salman was one of those, and here he is today. So back in September, he started with us at BGL. So over to you, Salman.
Yep. So the journey, what is it all about? So we all start on a blank canvas, a textbook. We all get told we go to school, college, university. They give us the tools, the education to get us ready for the business world. All of this leads to finally graduating. And we want to move the transition from academia to the business world. So this is my story, and I've done that. I felt prepared, I learned a lot, got the job. And what was expected from me, James?
Well, so kind of what I thought I was going to get when I got Salman is I was going to get an extra resource. I was going to get someone that knew how to program, who had probably some kind of experience of working with agile practices and all that sort of stuff. Maybe some things about testing and all that those sorts of things. So I was quite surprised when Salman turned up to find out that actually that wasn't the case.
Exactly. So hands up, who's been to university in this room? Quite a lot of you. Now keep your hands up if you think after university when you started your first job, what you learned was very relevant and helped you. So yeah, midway, hands did go down. So yeah, I studied computer science at university, but it's computer science is really broad and general. So it was a lot of textbook material, so theoretical based. So in terms of agile, scrum, object orientation, we learn all the theory behind it, but not the practical side. So on my first day, I come in all suited and booted, nice and ready, looking down, look at the work. And by the end of the day, I'm like, what's happened? It's like, I look at the code and it just goes, ooh, don't understand it. So obviously there was a problem, and now we needed a solution. So what was the solution, James?
So kind of when Salman first arrived on my CTM team that he and I were working together at the beginning, I think the first thing I did was I kind of recognised that he needed quite a bit of mentoring. So those first few weeks we were very much building up our relationship about working together and those sorts of things. I think in those early days, Salman was the tech grad scheme was kind of like there's this massive amount of things that he had to get under his belt. So we kind of started working on that and started trying to work out what actually was important, and try and work through some of those things.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's true. Exactly. And then moving on.
So basically in that sort of relationship, so from those early days of having all of these different things that have been arranged, actually we quickly recognised that we need to de-scope that and actually start focusing on a few much narrower things. So with Salman, there's been two areas that we've kind of mainly been looking at. So we've been looking at in terms of his leadership, so starting to develop those leadership things. I think is really important from an early start in his career that he starts to face into that. So typically things that I've been challenging him on in our relationship is when he's been going to present to the board, which he's done, is to actually start thinking about the audience and start to make sure that he's talking in their language, not his. So a lot of it is about speak when he's going out and talking to different people and things like that. There are other audiences that he's been going into, so I've been trying to get him to think about those. Other situations that we've been dealing with you've got these tech grads that have come out. They're not used to working in business. So there's all the kind of the business stuff that goes on that we're used to today in today out, like different teams working on different things. These guys over there thinking you're pulling that way, those guys thinking you're pulling that way, and the reality is no one really knowing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been having to face into all these sorts of things. So we've kind of been focusing on some of that, and then the other side of it is very much about tech. So how do we start getting Salman away from all that theory and into practically delivering? So we focused on three main areas. So we focused on agile, so very much how he works in a team, and looking at different methodologies. So just picking the two that we kind of tend to use, so Scrum and Kanban. We've also been looking to develop his skills in programming. So we kind of trying to start to get him to think in an object-oriented way, how he breaks things down and do those sorts of things. And then finally, the last bit is around testing, and the testing fits quite nicely into the object-oriented because it's forcing him to actually break his code into smaller units and actually start thinking about how he proves what he's putting out there. So we very much over the course of the last 7 months we've been trying to, we've narrowed what he's doing and trying to give him a bit more depth. So that's kind of what we've been working on.
And all of this was?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and all of this has led to
turning me into the one. But on a serious note, what have we learned from this, from our journey? So first of all, I think team collaboration is really important. It leads to success. How it does this is we learn from each other, and it allows us to understand our strengths and our weaknesses. And our weaknesses are important to know, because when we know our weaknesses, we can challenge our ability and leave our comfort zone. So by leaving our comfort zone, we can do tasks that we're not confident with. And by doing these tasks, it will build up self-confidence. And what this does, it inevitably enhances our personal skills and our business acumen. So I've learned a lot throughout the journey, and I'd like to appreciate James for mentoring me and BGL for giving me all your support and everything, so thank you. And we all heard the phrase, knowledge is power. And today I'd like to share with you a quote that's from Malcolm X that I think is quite fitting with my journey. It's, education is our passport to the future. I remember. Education is a passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. And that's all. So that's my journey from textbook to reality. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
If anyone's got any questions, I think we've got a couple of minutes now, and otherwise we can go and talk about it. But just before we finish, I'd just like to say it's been a real pleasure actually working with Salman over the last 7 months, and it's been a two-way thing. So I've learned a lot from him as well. So thank you.
Thank you. That's all.